plaza. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about ranger tours. Then I'm going to tell you the real story. Good thing you're on my tour today. I've got the real story. And then I'll present my evidence, okay? So this North Plaza, first of all, that parapet wall right there is not another wall like that in Mesa Verde National Park. And even in the whole ancestral Pueblo in the world, they're very, very rare. So that's unusual.
So this was not Park Service wall?
No.
Okay.
No, that's part of it. This is, you know, they don't build stuff like that. And you'll see. Then all of these rooms surrounding this plaza, none of them were lived in. Like I said earlier, if they were lived in and they were residential rooms, they would have smoke or soot or hearth or something like this. So none of these rooms were lived in. Then check out the masonry on this, on these 5 rooms here on this side of the plaza. It's some of the finest masonry in the park. Compare it to these walls over here. In this first room,
Regular, they almost look like
yeah, they're packed. In this first room block, if you look in the door to your right, there's a basin tucked into the bedrock. And there's 3 little loopholes, they're like windows down there. What is that all about? Then the next set of rooms, upper and lower, there's little niches in the wall, square little niches. And in the back is either clay or mortar or something, and some sockets, or you could put something in those sockets. What's that about? And then also, I think we can agree on this though. We have the balcony here. We have a balcony on top of that, on the tops of the room at the end, the parapet wall, and a balcony up here where these rooms are, and then this bench here. So it doesn't, don't you think we could say safely say this was an area where people gathered, gathering with people? Well, okay, so that's some of the unusual things about this space. Now a little bit about ranger tours. Every ranger at Mesa Verde, we write our own programs. They give us literature, they give us access to research reports, access to archaeologists, Pueblo elders come to speak with us, but we're interpretive rangers. So we're here to interpret that data for you. And so I'm going to tell you about it. So if you go on the tour before me, you might get a different story. Or if you go on the tour later this afternoon, you might get a different story. Well, luckily, I've got the true story. Here are some of the other ranger interpretations of this space. One ranger said this was the daycare area. Another ranger said that this was defensive and that they were here to protect their food and their water. Another ranger that said she studied with the Hopi, she said defense defense. There was no conflict, there was no warfare, there was no strife, there wasn't anything like that going on. And that these were just storage rooms. This was a little dance plaza. And the reason they walled up the entrance to make that tunnel was to give you a little bit of cool storage. The air's a little cooler there. Then another ranger said that this is where the Kachina religion, some archaeologists say the new religion, Kachina religion, started at 1300 AD. Well, one ranger says it might have started 20 years earlier here in Balcony House and Cliff Palace. And they had just made it really hard to get back here because they were starting, this was a very sacred place, the new religion was started. Then there was an archaeoastronomer by the name of Kim Malswell. Now he says that when we're facing east here, when the sun rises on the equinox, the sun shines through the loopholes and marks on the basin, shines on the basin, and it's an equinox marker. So this is where the astronomers live, so to speak. Well, last year, early this spring, I'm like, oh gosh, none of them really hits me right. I've got to pick one. So this spring I picked one. I decided this is a very sacred, special place here. So it must have been for the astronomer. That very day, a gentleman from Zuni Pueblo, was on my tour. And he said, Jan, do you want to know what the Zuni would say this space was used for? I'm like, yes! So here's the true story. He said, this was a spiritual retreat. And this was where the rain priests would come to meditate and to pray. And they would be in those upper rooms, and the women would bring them special food, and they would fill the basin there with water from many springs and from all directions. It was very important that the water came from protection. And so the priests would eat the specially blessed food and drink the water, meditate and pray, and receive spiritual guidance. That resonates with me. I really think that's probably what this space may have been used for. What do you think? Now here's my evidence. When, in 1910, when Nussbaum was excavating here, this had been one of the first larger dwellings that people came to pot hunt, to dig, to see it rob, take artifacts from. So when he was here in 1910 to excavate, most of the artifacts were gone. And but what they did find in this area, a lot of this wall was still standing and everything, but they patched it and stabilized it. And in the wall, they found some carved wooden prayer sticks. In the crack in between the two buildings over here, they found some carved wooden prayer sticks. Guess what would fit in those sockets in the wall? Carved wooden prayer sticks. Oh, sorry. Carved wooden prayer sticks. Okay? And they would fit in the sockets in that wall. We found some in the cracks in between the wall. And they also found some in the terracotta wall. Then there's a little room up here. They numbered it room number 10, but many people, including myself, think it's a bin. It wasn't a room. Well, guess what they found in that little bin there? Carved wooden prayer sticks. So there, that's my evidence that this was a very special and sacred place, and I believe it was a spiritual retreat for the rain trees. And so now we're going to go next door to the Kiva Plaza, and you will see what's your more traditional religious structure and more traditional living arrangement. Did you have a question?
Are those steps